Hi friends, it's Danielle with Take Care Mama, and I'm going to quickly go through the books I read in December. There's so much content right now, so much to get out, so I almost skipped this, but I did read some great books and I want to talk about them. So let's get started. I guess we'll start with my Stephen King. In 2021, I challenged myself to read one Stephen King a month, and I completed that challenge. I need to do the tallies, but I think I read about 15, so overachiever. I discovered him in late 2020 and was shocked at how much I loved it. I had so many misconceptions of who Stephen King is and what he writes, and I was proven wrong again and again this year. It was delightful. This in particular was a delightful surprise. It's The Drawing of the Three, which is the second book of his epic, The Dark Tower series. It's a fantasy series. I typically don't love fantasy, or I haven't thought I have. I read the first one, which is called The Gunslinger, months ago, 6 months ago, and it was okay. I gave it a 3 stars. I didn't understand really what was going on. It was confusing. It was like a Western fantasy mashup, which I actually found really cool. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't think I would ever pick up this one. I did kind of on a whim, and I loved it. This made my top 10 books of the year, which I just put up, and it's my favorite Stephen King book I ever read. I can't believe how much I loved it. So in The Gunslinger, we are in like another world, and so it's confusing and disorienting, and I didn't always know what was going on because we're just like learning everything. We have no idea. In this book, we are still part of that world with that character, but he goes through these doors or portals into our world and interacts with people like us. And that was just super exciting to me, for one, and it made it more relatable. I kind of understood the other world more once I saw him interact with our world. This again is fantasy, post-apocalyptic, a Western. There were mafia things in this book. Just thrilling. I thought it was thrilling the whole way through. I felt like I was at an exciting movie. I loved it. I loved it. This book made me commit to reading the whole Dark Tower series. Plus, I'm going to do an extended reading because a bunch of Stephen King's, if not all of his books, interact with each other. And so there's a set number of books for this Dark Tower series, but so many books interact with it, whether it's with themes or characters. For instance, I'm reading The Stand right now, and one of the characters is both in The Stand and in the Dark Tower series. So I don't know if I can overemphasize how shocked I was by how much I loved this. I made my husband start this series. He finished The Gunslinger and, like me, didn't love it, but I said, just trust me. Think of The Gunslinger as a prologue. And this is so good. So I think you'll be hearing more from me about this book, so I will move on. Let's see. This is a reread, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He is my favorite spiritual teacher I've ever come across. This is about staying in the present moment. What does that really mean? The most I got out of this book is talking about like brain chatter. I am a thinker, INTJ, T for thinker, and I'm always working on something in my brain. I'm always daydreaming. My brain is busy, and I've always been a little proud of that. Like, I am proud to be a thinker. And this book turned that upside down a little bit and has helped me take time to slow down my brain and to really not think about anything, but only sense the things going on around me. And it's been very helpful in my life, very meaningful. I love him so much. I also read A New Earth this year, which made my top nonfiction books, which will be out soon. I'm making a quick video. Do you have my eyeliner? let's do these two in tandem. These are Seanan McGuire's The Wayward Children series books 5 and 6. Yes, 5 and 6. And the 7th comes out in March of 2022. This is another surprise. This is fantasy more for a YA audience. I don't love YA and I don't love fantasy. However, maybe I'm changing my mind. I love the writing of these. This reminds me of V.E. Schwab, which I think she does a little blurb on here. And I say that because I read Addie LaRue earlier this year by V.E. Schwab. That's all I've read of her. And that's fantasy as well. Okay, I just want to finish this. Like, really?
Look, yours.
Okay. These stories are sweet stories. I like them. I'm not super invested in any of the plots, but I keep reading. I like them, and her writing is beautiful. And that's how. What are we doing now? And that's why I bring up V.E. Schwab. I wasn't necessarily invested in Addie LaRue or the story, but I loved her writing. And that's how I feel about these. Also, in all honesty, I was just wanting to get my reading done for 2021. These are short. I am not regretting reading them. I enjoyed them, but I wish I would have spread them out a little more. Like, I didn't need to read all 6 of them in 2 months. It was a little much for me, but I'm definitely going to get the next one. Oh, and this one is the 6th one, and it is a standalone. So new characters, you don't have to read the first one. You don't have to read 1 through 5 to read this. And actually, I would start here. If I was me, I wish I would have started with this one. The first one I found a little boring, just like getting it all set up and the characters. If you love this one, then go read number 1 and see if you're gonna like it. Yeah, I love REAGAN. Okay, I've made it a new tradition to read A Christmas Carol every December. This is my 2nd year. Love this book so much. Love it so much. Like, literally, oh my word. And my little family and I did a competition this year, and we watched as many Christmas carols movies as we could. I think we did about 15 adaptations. I have a whole video about it with the favorites. And this is such a good story. To me, it's almost gothic horror. Like, it's scary. To me, it's a story of a man becoming enlightened. And there are just so many fun metaphors and things you can do with this story. So we had so much fun watching all the adaptations. And man, I just love this. It's quick. I mean, this is coming out at the end of December, beginning of January. So I'm not sure if you're in the mood for A Christmas Carol, but put it on your TBR for next year. I don't think you'll regret it. My 2-year-old's not having it. I'm going to have to speed through this. I read The Mothers by Britt Bennett. I read her The Vanishing Half earlier this year. 5 stars. Beautiful. It almost... I love The Vanishing Half so much. I picked this up. I believe this is her debut novel. And it started out so strong. I thought it was going to be a 5 stars, and I thought it was going to mess up all of my end of the year content for a sneaker to come in, though Stephen King did it as well. It ended up being a 3 stars. I love the premise of this book. It's about a small southern town and the church. I love books about like churches and religions, and I think I love that topic because there's such a duality. Like, I grew up in the church, and there are so many beautiful things from my experience, and it really shaped me and had a huge impact on my life and who I am. And also a lot of bad things came from my experience of growing up in a tight-knit church. And I have a lot of like resentment, and I see a lot of hypocrisy, blah, blah, blah. And so I love that as a subject because it's such a big subject and so many layers. And so this was that, and I loved that. It's about a young girl who gets pregnant by the pastor's son, and I'm pretty sure that's on here. Yeah, that's in the synopsis, so I don't consider that a spoiler. And okay, so it was so good, and then the writing kind of fell apart for me, and it kind of started falling flat. But for a debut novel, this was so good. If I could write this for my first published book, I would be beyond proud. And the improvement this author has between this book and The Vanishing Half is so inspiring. I do not regret reading this at all, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more. Okay, I read another Ruth Ware. And it's not the one I planned to read because I kind of made a mistake when I was doing my TBR. I read The Turn of the Key. I read The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, mystery thriller. From what I can see, this is a lot of people's favorite Ruth Ware. This is my 3rd Ruth Ware. I DNF'd The Woman in Cabin 10. I liked The Death of Mrs. Westaway, fine. I liked this, fine. Gave it a 3 stars. However, I think after reading 100 books in 2021, and maybe, I bet 15% were mystery thrillers, I'm going to put this genre to bed a little bit and be very particular if I pick one up. I think this just isn't the genre for me, which is a little funny to say because it used to be like all I read. Like I loved the twists and the turns, and now I just don't. So that's good. It's good to learn what I love so I don't waste time. And I know people love Ruth Ware and love her work. And I just think that I'm not one of those people. Lastly, I read a 30-page book. I just wanted to be done. And that was a book I found from Erin from Books and Busy. And it was science fiction, and it was called Emergency Skin. This was a free book on Amazon, so that was awesome. Again, I think like 30 pages, science fiction, which is a genre I'd like to explore more. So I thought a 30-page science fiction book is awesome. It's a book that takes place in the future. I don't know, like it could be 1,000 years, at least several hundred years, probably, I would think, in the future. And because we suck at taking care of our planet Earth, a bunch of us move to another planet. And in that planet, we're running out of resources. So they send a team back to Earth to replenish. And it's just kind of like a mind-bending story. And what did I give it? 3 or 4 stars. My major critique, it felt a little like propaganda. And it's interesting that I say that because the author's point of view is one that I probably share. And I like when an author has a point of view. Like, I don't mind when they're using their story for a larger conversation. Like, I love that. I don't love when it's pushed down your throat. I love it when it's subtle. And this started subtle. I mean, it's only 30 pages. But then it kind of became the opposite of subtle. And I just don't like that. I like for the reader to make their own connections and opinions. And I don't know if I'm going to upload this video. Throw it to you. You caught it. Happy end of the year. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Take care. Can you come say bye to the friends?
Bye, friends.
Oh. Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.
Okay, if you go in your room, I'll bring you chocolate. I'm almost done.